I was raised in a very formal, one-way Catholicism, and Saloni was raised in a completely different religion with access to Catholicism.
I also went to a Catholic school growing up, so I've always known Jesus, Christianity, as well as Catholicism. But I always felt so much a part of the church that I never thought I had to do anything else to really become a part of the church. I kept waiting for some kind of sign or something to make me want to do it. And finally one day I said, you know, I'm here. Why don't I participate fully? And that was like sort of almost like a revelation one day that just came in and of itself. And so I spoke to Sister B, and of course, once you speak to Sister B, she thought that was just the best thing I could do. And that's how I decided to join the RCIA class. And then I realized how much I didn't know, how much I thought I knew earlier, and how much just coming to class taught me.
Now, after Vatican II in high school and college, I don't think I stepped in a church except for a wedding or a funeral for 20, 25 years. This is a very different experience. This is a community and more of an inclusive experience. There's more of a, you're part of this and this is also your community, which, I have to give Father Jeff credit for that from the beginning. It's been clear that he's had a vision for this community that drives it, and I think that's one of the reasons it thrives so much. His idea is family-based. I mean, there was singing, there was a lot of joy here.
The actual day of when we come for all our sacraments is the Mass at Easter Vigil. I anticipated something big was happening.
Saloni, I baptize you in the name of the Father and of the Son.
When I came out of the water, I felt so peaceful and just really centered. And so it was a very special day, and my children were there, and they knew what I had gone through because they had gone through it themselves.
Church, when I was a child, was very different from what my children are seeing. The concept of giving to your church really was not front and center there. There are a lot of things that changed, like RCIA. For example, was not stressed the way it was, and I never heard of anyone being immersed except in other religions. So there's been a huge cultural shift that I was absent for, but part of that cultural shift is contributing. And to us, contributing was they passed the basket, you put your money in, and whatever my parents would do at the time, or whatever portion of my allowance they told me I had to put in the basket. But that's changed, at least as an adult. I don't see it the same way as I did when I was a child. I see we're not telling you to, but understand that this is a community. You're giving to this community not because we need to keep the building open, but because you want the community to thrive. A lot of the things that go on, like for example, bereavement counseling, which I take no part in, but directly affects many people who I might take care of in my job as a surgeon. And so you build that community through a web of interactions. Some of them financial, which obviously you have to keep the lights on in the building. Some of them are physical. We have people who have to run things and do things. And some of them are talent-based. And when I've been to Haiti, there was no reason for me not to contribute something unique and valuable, but also continuing to keep Queen of Peace, the community, thriving and alive and active.
I didn't know what to expect when I was going to Haiti. I come from a third world country, so I knew it wasn't going to be like the United States, and poverty was something I was accustomed to, so I wasn't scared of it. One thing that really struck me as different is we were going along in this van trying to get to the hospital, and we came across a river. And next thing you know, we're actually going through the river and getting to the other side, and I thought, wow, they really need an infrastructure. They really don't have one. So that was definitely an eye-opener in terms of what really Haiti is at this time. But the hospital was absolutely a joy to be in. The people that were there were lined up there with their families with a lot of hope and faith. You could see that. They were not there just demanding services or by in any means taking any of that for granted. They were there with a lot of support for their family members.
Haiti is a disturbing experience in a lot of ways. It's the poorest country in this hemisphere. And when you're there, you can see things that you don't imagine human beings living in. And honestly, what we do is such a small drop in the bucket. What it does do is change you. It puts you up against something that makes you realize what you have in your day-to-day life. Even if you came from, poverty in America, you've never seen anything like this and never want to. I think they have developed a sense of a bond with us and the other groups that go down, and come to know it and expect it and trust it, and understand that in the bigger world there are things out there that are more than just time and treasure and talent brought down there. It's a culture where there's hope, and that hope is something that is invaluable to them.
I see God almost everywhere in the Queen of Peace community. It's just everything that I've ever wanted or asked for, I feel when I come here and I ask, I know that I will receive if I'm meant to receive. And to me, that's been there since the first day I came here. That peace, that serenity, it's hard to explain.
And part of that is the community giving and the stewardship aspect, but it's more the participation. Every time somebody does something to further the existence of God in the community, it's what He's trying to do through all of history and through all of life. And I think there's more of it here than in many places I've seen.
Well, tithing is definitely a leap of faith because it's suddenly something that you're not accustomed to doing, and then you think you can, but maybe you can't. It's not a sure given that you're going to be able to balance your books after you've already committed to something. And we certainly try, and sometimes things happen in the most unexpected ways. One year we really thought, well, we're not sure we're going to make our commitment, but really, truly, it was an act of God that we did. It was something suddenly that came in our lives, and we were delighted. And I told Stanley, I said, God certainly works in mysterious ways because we had not expected this, and it happened. So I always say to somebody that if they would ask me, well, how can I be sure? You can't be sure. It's a leap of faith, but you know that it will happen because you've committed to it and God wants you to.
It just depends on what you think you can grow with and what you think you can contribute that's helpful. I mean, there are certain things I would never try to do, like cook.
Well, that's not what he told me. He said he's a good cook. So.
We're not going to have this fight on video, are we?
No. This is one of the outtakes. It's all about God. And I think once you come here, you know you're on holy ground. There's no escaping it.